But back then, so we like to look back at the past, find out, in social justice through a social justice lens, what has happened in history. We do not like to forget the history. We often know that some of these topics that we've been talking about don't make it to the history books. Amen. So we are, as we talked about the aforementioned Emmett Till house being saved from development, and some other stories that have come up. We do like to look at the past, as they say. Don't forget the past, or you'll run into a wall. I think that's the. I think that's the saying. What do we have? Who's taking it today? Chris, is this you?
I believe it is.
On you, my man. Tell us what happened in the past so that we might not repeat it in the future.
Yeah, and as Manny mentioned, one of our missions is to shine a light on these incredibly important events that somehow just got erased and no one knows about, and is definitely not taught in school. So 122 years ago, on November 10th, is what is known as the Wilmington, North Carolina insurrection, otherwise known as the Wilmington Massacre, where it basically stands as potentially the only true coup on a municipality within the United States domestic soil. We'll have episodes in the future talking about all the coups that the U.S. has launched across the globe.
There have been a few.
Dozens of coups across the globe. But this one, you had 2,000 or so members of the Klan, some former Confederate soldiers, all joined forces to overthrow the city's government and install their own leaders, if you will. They killed hundreds of African Americans, in the process, and that bloody massacre is sort of given credit to what was the beginning of the Jim Crow laws that disenfranchised so many for generations. And testament to that, I just want to double check this stat, but
I'm just while you're doing that, I don't know if you can see the screen. I'm showing some clips, some photos. StarNewsOnline.com speaking about the awareness of the massacre and some ongoing efforts to memorialize it with the memorial in Wilmington, North Carolina. Just so you know, to describe what people are looking at. If you're in the podcast feed, StarNewsOnline.com has a great slideshow of images from the past, as well as the movement to memorialize and the occurrence. So
they burnt down black-owned businesses. They destroyed its only black newspaper, the Daily Record, and again killed hundreds. And testament to this horrific event, this massacre, the legacy lives on. No black citizen served in public office in Wilmington until 1972, and no black citizen from North Carolina was elected to Congress until 1992. And then, of course, just this past summer, in June, you had 3 Wilmington police officers who were fired after a recording surfaced of them using racial slurs and, quote, to start slaughtering African Americans in the city there and wipe them off the effing map. So horrific legacy.
Yep. Thanks for that, Chris. It was something I was, I may have heard of. It's sort of like the Tulsa race riots and such. You hear about them. You don't really see them covered very much. You don't see them memorialized. We just memorialized Veterans Day, for example, which of course, is something that we should do. And it's worthy of doing. We memorialize 9/11. We memorialize a lot of events that occur in this country, but remarkably, we don't seem to memorialize some of the more tragic events that happened on our own soil, perpetrated by our own on each own. So
if you want to bring it back today, I think it also sort of, reignites the discussion over reparations, right? Especially what happened in Black Wall Street and what Chris just mentioned now in Wilmington. You would think that these would be part of the discussion.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. Rumor has it we have a new president coming. So we'll see if these things get addressed. I don't know that they will. We'll have to pay attention to what's going to happen in the future.
The future. Okay,
The
so
future.
if you listen,
So that's the past where we've screwed everything up.
Yeah, we don't want to.
How about
we don't want to go back?
how about the potential for some kind of improvements in the future?
Yeah, so if you watched last week's stream, you remember that we spoke to Miriam Krinsky from Fair and Just Prosecution, and she talked about one of these reform prosecutors named George Gascon, who was vying for the DA's position in Los Angeles, which is the largest prosecutorial office in the country. I think there's like thousands of lawyers. So this person is really the head of a huge operation. So it turns out that George Gascon, the reform-minded prosecutor, unseated Jackie Lacey, who had been in office since, I want to say, 2012. And she sort of caught the ire of Black Lives Matter protesters who were sort of like on a daily just demonstrating outside her office and raising concerns about her role in death penalty cases and not doing enough to stop, to prosecute officers who in police brutality cases.
Right.
So this was,
and I want to cut you off.
Races.
I want to cut you off. It's a significant race. It's a significant issue. People who are watching this, you're interested in social justice. You're watching This Week in Social Justice. The importance of DAs, the importance of local government. This is something that really focuses. We've done an episode on it as well. Law and Disorder. Was that the episode? Great episode on. So a lot of the focus is on the presidential race and the big ticket folks. Again, not to cut you off, I just want to emphasize how important these local victories that you don't hear about, even if you're in the state where it happens, you don't really necessarily are tuned into this. Please, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's such an important aspect of politics, progressiveness, social justice, these local, especially DA kind of elections.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate the emphasis on it because, it's one of those positions that up until recently, really, I would say, like 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of these DAs just sort of sailed to re-election. They would often be endorsed by both parties. So you would have a Democrat and a Republican DA. You wouldn't know where he stood on any issues, because if there wasn't any challenger in the race, there wouldn't be debates, there wouldn't be open discussions about the policies that they're pushing forward. And DAs are incredibly powerful in terms of setting the agenda when it comes to criminal justice in a community or a city. So George Gascon's victory is seen as one of the sort of stepping stones, but a significant race to look at, because it's going to show how a progressive-minded DA can handle a big city like Los Angeles. That you already have Larry Krasner in Philadelphia,
right,
who has taken on that role. I think he was elected back in 2016, 2017. So, and then just to talk about Gascon really quick, he wants to stop the use of the death penalty in LA. And I think there was a report out that said Jackie Lacey, since her time in office, had sent 22 men to death row during her time. He wants to increase accountability for police departments and decriminalize mental health. And that's another issue that we covered on a Newsbeat episode in terms of the disproportionate number of people in jails and prisons who have a mental health issue.
Right.
And, and I think this is important too. The Black Lives Matter protesters that I had mentioned earlier, who were demonstrating outside Lacey's office, have said that they're going to do the same thing once Gascon is in office, because they want to keep up the pressure. And I think that's something similar that's going to happen potentially with Joe Biden as president. So I think all these things connect.